Credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 4/1/2024. Dealer stock only.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
It's time for Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. The first hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome into Sports Time. Bryant Dacus, Johnny Hill with you. No Brett Norsworthy today, but we'll talk to him a little bit later in the show. He's at FedEx Forum today watching these first-round games of the NCAA tournament. Day one in the books yesterday. Day two off and rolling, and some really good games so far today. I've got the UAB San Diego State game on in here, and San Diego State has just won it, or is going to win. I don't know what they call it there. Yeah, we've got a final. 69-65 San Diego State over UAB. Really fun game. I mean, back and forth. I didn't really like the officiating, and Johnny, I'm not one that really complains about officiating too much because I don't ever think really a game comes down to officiating. I know, and we'll probably talk about it at some point, but the Samford-Kansas game last night, a lot of people talking about the officiating in that game and the call that was made. But I never like to really blame officials or really bring up officiating. But I wasn't a huge fan of the officiating in the San Diego State UAB game. I thought a lot of kind of ticky-tack foul calls. But still, I thought a good performance by UAB. A lot of their guys were in foul trouble, but they were able to stick around. They ended up getting a lead and just couldn't hold it. Jalen Ledee, the big man for San Diego State, just unbelievable what he does and what he did today. I don't know. I'll have to pull it up how many points he finished with, but really good game for him. And these games have been fun. Long games today, though. Feels like very, very long games. This game,
it has.
Over 2 hours. The first game of the day went to overtime. I know the game here in Memphis, Baylor, and Colgate was more of a blowout. I think Baylor ended up winning by 20 or so. But what games stuck out to you, Johnny? What games have you been paying attention to, either last night or this morning?
Hey, let me tell you something, Brian. I told you when I came in, Kentucky, man. And Blake talked about it.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter, I was talking to Brett yesterday, and I was like, man, Brett, Blake said we need to keep our eyes out on this, and he wasn't lying, man. Kentucky just couldn't get nothing in the basket, man, and it's more power to Oakland, man. Like they balled out, man. They really did, man. They really balled out, man. And a lot of the top picks, and we were talking to Keith Smith yesterday. A lot of Kentucky, they have a lot of lottery picks, and just to be honest, they didn't show up. Rob Dillingham, he went to a little funk. He really didn't have nothing going, man. And Reed Shepherd, he really didn't have nothing going. So man, it that game really stuck out to me. And to be honest, this what March is all about, man. The upsets and the stories, man. This is what March is all about. We are officially, this is the madness.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. A lot of madness. Jaden Ledee, the guy for San Diego State I was talking about, he finished with 32 points and 8 rebounds. So a really good game for him against UAB. But no, you mentioned that game last night for Kentucky. Tough loss for them. But Oakland, and you mentioned Blake Lovell when he joined us earlier this week. He kind of said, hey, don't be surprised if Oakland goes out there and keeps it close against Kentucky or even beats Kentucky. And I talked about Jack Golke a lot kind of leading up to this tournament. It felt like kind of the nice March storyline, that player. I brought him up, the guy that has taken however many 3-pointers this year and only taken X amount of 2-pointers. Only shoots the 3 ball. He was huge last night. Finished with 32 points.
He was hot from deep, man.
Yeah, I mean, and all of his shots came from 3, and he shot 50% from 3. So, I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. He was definitely the story of the night last night. And, if he can keep this up, I don't know. I'm trying to think. Who does Oakland have to play now after that win? I just don't know if I trust him, though, staying that high. They get NC State in the next game. And NC State's been hot lately.
That'll be a tough game.
Yeah, what they have done in the ACC tournament. They played really well, won that tournament to get into the NCAA tournament. They wouldn't have been here without winning that conference tournament. So that should be a good game. That one tomorrow night at 6 o'clock on, it says either TBS or True TV.
And wasn't it Jake who scored 32 points for Oakland? Jack scored 32 points. And Dakis, did you hear what he was saying after the game? He said, man, them are lottery picks, and I know for sure that I won't get an opportunity to go to the NBA. But, man, I was thinking after that game, man, if you keep shooting like that, man, you never know what can happen, man, because that's very good, 50% from the three, man, and he really shined yesterday. He really did his thing yesterday, man. That was good to see. That's just a great storyline all overall, man. Despite that I wanted Kentucky to win, but that's just a great storyline, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, it seemed like that was going to be the type of player that became, every year you've got that player that just comes out of nowhere and is on either as a good player on one of these smaller school teams, or they're just, an unknown player and they pop off during the NCAA tournament. I remember a couple years ago when St. Peter's beat Kentucky, kind of bringing up Kentucky again, and I forget the guy's name now, but they had that one guy on their team, guard, that was he was okay player, but he went off and kind of became the big storyline, and I think transferred to Bryant and really didn't do much after that. But I liked what Jay Wright said after the game last night about this Kentucky team. He said, here's the full quote of what he said. The era of taking these young freshmen and trying to play against older players is over. I think he did a phenomenal job, talking about John Calipari. I think he did a phenomenal job with these guys all year. You can see they're playing against grown men. The guys on Kentucky will be far better pros than any of these guys on Oakland or any of the guys in this tournament. But they're not as good college basketball players. At this point in their careers, they're not as disciplined yet as the guys for Oakland. It's not Cal's fault. It's they're 18 years old, and they are in the era where everyone is telling them how great they are. Just show up in college, and you're going to win. It doesn't happen that way. And the more guys stay in college because of NIL, it's going to be tougher for young teams like this to be successful. I mean, that's absolutely true. I mean, you've heard so many coaches, and you've even seen Penny Hardaway starting to do this. I mean, Penny Hardaway was, when he got the job at Memphis, his kind of motto was, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to recruit at a high level, I'm going to bring in all of these 4- and 5-star guys, and that's how we're going to win. Well, he does it doesn't work out for him, and he says, well, we got to go old. And goes out and tries to bring in all of these older guys to come in and kind of be those veterans. And we saw this year, didn't really work out. You did that, it didn't pan out. I still think, you got to have a nice mix of both.
Yeah.
You need to build a culture, and it's hard. I understand it's hard this day and age of college basketball with the transfer portal and everything. But you need to build a program where you're bringing in young guys, maybe a couple of freshmen every year, and in the hopes of, maybe one of those guys, let's just say you bring in three freshmen into your class. They brought in more than 3 last year, but let's say you bring in, they brought 4 last year, I guess. But let's say you bring in 4. Okay, what they did last year, you brought in J.J. Taylor, Mikey Williams, Ashton Hardaway, and Carl Sharonfont. So you bring in those 4 guys. Well, we know now what happened with Mikey and J.J., and so they left, but that's okay. You're hoping that Ashton and Carl stick around, and now you can build something in there and go out and get other players. But you still kind of have that retention, and you're going out and you're getting guys that, might only have 1 year of eligibility, but you're also getting guys that have a couple years of eligibility, and if it works out, hopefully they'll stay around. Now, like you have in Nicholas Jourdain and maybe even David Jones. And so then, if you're going into next year and you've got Carl coming back, and you have Ashton coming back, and you've got Nicholas Jourdain coming back, and you have David Jones coming back. Yeah, it's only 4 guys, but if you can now bring in guys, you've got those guys that know how this works. This team last year didn't really have that for Memphis, and so that's where I think, John Calipari brought in all these young guys and maybe relied on them too much. But you're going to see those older teams and NIL keeping players in. So it's interesting. It's not as easy, I think, to build a roster as it was a couple years ago because of what NIL has done, what the transfer portal has done. But coaches are going to have to figure out how to go about that and put out teams that are very competitive. But good for Oakland. I'm glad they won. It's a fun story, and it's who knows what they can do in their next game against NC State. Some other games from last night. Who'd you have? Gonzaga and McNeese.
I had Gonzaga.
Okay, good call by you. I also had Gonzaga, and they looked dominant in that game. I don't
They
know if
did.
you saw
They
much
did.
of that game, but here's the thing: I have watched this Gonzaga team a lot down the stretch, and I understand what people were saying early in the tournament or early in the season, where this Gonzaga team is not as good as people think they are. They're going to lose games. They're not going to be a good tournament team. And then you got this McNeese State team that comes in, and they're kind of that feisty underdog pick. But Gonzaga's played well, and especially down the stretch, they played extremely well. That win against Kentucky in February really stuck out. Obviously kind of an easy conference slate, but they come out on the road against San Francisco. I understand it was in the Chase Center, but they go out, they win that game by almost 20 points. In March, they beat St. Mary's by about almost 20 points. So they played really well down the stretch and had a lot rolling for them. And McNeese State on the other side had been kind of beaten up mid-major teams all year long, even in non-conference. Their strength of schedule, I don't think, was very good in the non-conference either. I wish I had it pulled up. But I wasn't surprised when I don't know about you, but I was not surprised when I saw, Gonzaga with an 86-65 win over McNeese.
Man, I wasn't either, especially when you just see how they was getting the quality of their shots. They got it in the paint. They also, when they went to go get the three ball, man, they was shooting lights out. They were shooting 47%. And then 51% on the field. So Brian, when you're shooting like that, man, you gonna blow out a team at that level. Mm-hmm. And they had a few turnovers, but other than that, man, they did exactly what I expected them to do. They were dominant exactly how dominant North Carolina was yesterday. Right. I expected both of them two teams to dominate, and they really shown why they are who they are.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right, and I just pulled up. You know how much I like Kim Pom. Looking at Kim Pom's stuff. Looking at McNeese State opponents, they did not play a team rated higher than 74.
Wow.
Season long. 75, excuse me. All season long. VCU.
That's a great stat.
They opened the season VCU ranks on Kim Pom 75. And you look at some of the teams they play. It's not a surprise. Even though good team, good season, I think Will Wade's a great coach. When you look at what they did from between last year and this year, it's very easy to say Will Wade did an unbelievable job. And that's what I'm worried about, Johnny, today, is that people are going to see McNeese State got beat by 20 points by Gonzaga last night. Well, they were just a bad team. They were, Will Wade in a great, he didn't do much. He's just, successful in a bad conference. Last year, McNeese State was 11-23.
Yeah.
This year, they finished the season 30-4.
Man, that's a great turnaround.
That's incredible.
That's incredible.
That's incredible. And so now I think everybody's on Will Wade watch. Will he go somewhere else? Will he stick at McNeese State for another year? Obviously, with his violations and sanctions, I think it's like if another school hires him, he might have to serve another 10-game suspension. I don't know. I don't think that's true. I heard somebody say that, but I don't think that's right. I know for a fact he would not be able to go out and recruit. So
really
going to at certain events, there's sanctions that come down with it. So I don't think he could go to Peach Jam and just recruit guys there. So it's a bunch of different things. So I don't know if he'll stick around at McNeese one more year and then make the jump, or if maybe this is the time to make the jump. I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see, and I'm sure everybody is now going to be on on Will Wade watch because obviously there's a lot of big-time openings out there. Same thing with FAU.
Yeah.
FAU lost this morning. I'll go through the scores real quick in a second before we get to top and not top story of the day. But FAU lost this morning, so now everybody is going to be on watch.
On watch of that,
you know, to see what happens there, if there's a coaching move there. But I'm really upset right now, Johnny. I like honestly, I can't,
Really?
I can't hide my emotions right now because Marquette and Western Kentucky just went final. Great first half for Western Kentucky, by the way. They were leading at the half. I don't know, 43-36 at the half.
Yeah.
And I took Marquette before the game started. Marquette under 86.5 total points.
Really?
I'm thinking 86.5. It means you got to score 87 points for me to lose.
Yeah.
It's a lot of points.
Yeah.
Western Kentucky, not a terrible defense.
They're not a bad team.
Right, you know? And so even, especially at halftime, Marquette's sitting at 36 points. I'm feeling good.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, you know, we got this.
Oh, yeah.
Johnny, do you know how many points Marquette scored in that game? How many they finished with? Don't look it up. Just take a guess. I see you over there trying to look it up.
About 30.
Why are you trying to look it
30.
up? Why are you trying to look it up?
Hey, man, I got to keep my eye out. 30.
You think they finished with 30 points? You think they scored 30 points total?
Nah.
How many points did Marquette score in the entire game? The final score, Marquette has this amount of points. How many? Don't look it up.
90.
No. 87.
I was close.
I had under 86.5.
Dang, Dakis.
So if they just did not score the last point or whatever, I would have won. But of course,
Dang, Dakis.
we did not. And I think their last, yeah. Oh wow.
Did you have Marquette winning?
I didn't bet on. I in our picks, I had Marquette winning.
Okay,
yeah, but
okay.
I didn't like bet on them to win or anything. How about this? Marquette was held scoreless in the last minute and a half.
Whoa.
They only scored 3 points in the last 2 minutes and 8 seconds, and that point was a 3-pointer to make it 87.
Who was you most impressed with in the Marquette game?
I'll be honest, I didn't watch much of it. I know Cam Jones led the team in scoring. He had 28. He's from Memphis, which is cool to see.
Yeah.
I think Tyler Kolek didn't look 100%, but he's obviously coming off that injury. So I mean, that's definitely good for them. I just don't know if I trust this Marquette team. Like honestly, I don't know who they play next. But I'm just not. I don't know if I'm sold on them, and that's going to be something that we got to figure out because I know Marquette might be a hot team that people might have picked to go far in their brackets. Let me go through some of these scores before we get, and I'll also set up today's show before we get to top and not top story of the day. Northwestern, a 77-65 win in overtime over Florida Atlantic. That started the day for us. That was an overtime game. FAU. It was really back and forth. It was an ugly game early in that one. I think like 21-19 at half or something like that. And both teams were just really struggling to shoot the balls. 2019 at half. Northwestern shot 21% from the field and 16% from three. FAU shot 33% from the field and only 11% from three. So both teams really struggled in that first game. Ultimately, it goes to overtime. Northwestern wins 77-65. Baylor, big win here in Memphis, 92-67 over Colgate. Except Colgate gave them some issues early. It was kind of back and forth early in that game. I think Baylor had to go to a zone defense to really slow Colgate down, and when they did that, it was all Baylor the rest of the way. San Diego State, they win 69-65 over UAB. That one just went final while we were starting the show. And Marquette, they won 87-69 over Western Kentucky. You already kind of talked about that. Western Kentucky led at the half, but Marquette came out strong in the second to get a very convincing win over the Hilltoppers. We got two games going on right now. Both are at the half. One here in Memphis. Clemson up big over New Mexico, 42-28. And then the number one overall seed, UConn, up 52-10 50-19 over Stetson. Wow, 52 points for UConn in the first half. That is extremely impressive. We got a couple games starting before the end of this hour. Yale and Auburn. That one starts around 3:33 on TNT. Auburn, a 13.5-point favorite over Yale. Also, Colorado and Florida starting at about 3:38. Colorado right now a 1.5-point favorite for this afternoon's game over the 7 seed Florida. So we'll talk a lot about the NCAA tournament, but let me give you the rundown for today's show before we get to top and not top story of the day. 3:30, Alan Bell from the AB3 and Driving the Line. He'll join us in our next segment at 3:30 to talk some wagering. Obviously, you're going to get to a lot of these games, a bunch of games later tonight. Also, we've got the game set for tomorrow in the round of 32. So we'll ask him about all of these games. We'll also have to get some baseball picks from our guy, Alan. He has been red hot when it comes to betting college baseball. So we'll do all of that at 3:30. 3:45, we'll talk more about these NCAA tournament games. Hopefully by then we'll have more of an idea of what these two games, if they're still blowouts or if one of these teams makes a little bit of a run to start the second half in the two games going on right now. We'll also have those other games. Hopefully we'll have started by then, Yale and Auburn and Colorado and Florida. We'll wrap up our first hour and start the second hour at 4 o'clock. Bruce Marshall from Vegas Insider, CBS Sports, and BAMSports.net. He'll join us. We'll talk some more wagering with him, a lot more college basketball games. We'll also get some NBA picks with Bruce. 4:30, Brett Norsworthy. Usually you hear him on this show every single afternoon, but he is live at FedEx Forum for these first-round games in Memphis. He'll join us. By then, I'm guessing the Clemson and New Mexico game will be over, so we'll get his thoughts on the first two games of the day and a preview of the final two games of the night, Texas A&M versus Nebraska and Longwood versus Houston to wrap up the day in Memphis. 4:45, we'll get to Taco Bell crunch time because we're out early. We're out at about 5 o'clock for Ole Miss baseball. They've got Tennessee tonight, a weekend series against the Volunteers, so it should be a great series. But we're out early for that pregame starting at 5 o'clock for Ole Miss baseball, and then that first pitch set for 5:30. Well, let me remind you, we're in our Family Leisure studios where family and fun come together. And get out to Family Leisure for factory direct pricing on swimming pools, spas, and patio furniture. It's patio season. Get by Family Leisure and check out the new 2024 patio furniture sets. Pool season will be here before we know it. Buy now and get in line for your pool installation and get pre-season pricing. Save $1,000, $5,000 on all spas and swim spas. Also, special pricing on all in-stock saunas, theater seating, pool tables, and outdoor kitchens. Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40. Let me remind you, you can be a part of the show. Text in to the Sissy's Log Cabin listener line, 901-360-8255. All your thoughts, opinions on these basketball games that have gone on today or the games that went on last night. We'll be taking your texts all afternoon. But let's go ahead and get to top story of the day.
Top story of the day.
Well, my top story of the day, it's got to be the NCAA tournament. A wild first day of action. I really thought the night slate was a ton of fun. Yeah, there were some interesting games early in the day, but I really thought it was the latter portion of the afternoon that really stuck out to me. Gonzaga rolled against McNeese State 86-65. Oakland out of nowhere. A lot of people thinking Oakland last night was from Oakland, California.
Yeah.
No, it is in Michigan. They take down Kentucky, and now what happens with John Calipari and this Kentucky program? I've heard a lot of people saying he's going to be fired. He should be fired.
No, I don't think so.
No way he gets fired. I don't think. The buyout is way too high. There's no way he gets fired. But what does this mean going forward at Kentucky? I mean, what does the fan base look like? Because we've already seen, not just this year, last year, there was a lot of unhappy Kentucky fans around that program. This doesn't help. You know, going out there where a lot of people had them going super deep into the tournament. Some people even had them winning the NCAA tournament. For them to go out in the first round, it is pretty much a worst case scenario for Kentucky faithful. So it's going to be interesting what this offseason looks like for John Calipari and what that fan base looks like next year. Tennessee, they rolled last night. The only SEC team that won yesterday was the University of Tennessee. 4 games yesterday for the SEC. Only one winner. They win 83-49. NC State, an upset win over Texas Tech, 80-67. And then Kansas, they win 93-89 over Samford. There's been a lot of talk about this game. Since it happened, Kansas was up, I believe, by 1 late in the game. Samford blocks Nick Timberlake's dunk attempt. It's called a foul. I've seen the replay, even though I dozed off and fell asleep before this play happened. I've seen the replay more times than I wish I had. But they call it a foul. Nick Timberlake goes up to the line, knocks down some free throws. And even after the game, it was kind of funny. A lot of the Kansas players were asked, like, what did you think of that last play? What did you think of that last shot? And they were all like, well, I mean, the ref calls it a foul. It's a foul. And, like, they didn't even think it was a foul. So, really funny, but for Samford, a great season. They finished 29-6 on the year. Kansas lives to see another day, and now they've got to see Gonzaga in the next round, which will be a really, really tough matchup for them.
Man, I completely agree. My top story of the day is Kentucky, especially off that horrific loss, man. And Brian, you made a good point earlier talking about the issues that they do have, man, and they really do have an issue. One thing about Kentucky, we know that they're going to produce draft picks. We know that. That's where a lot of the 4 stars and 5 stars go there. But also, man, the fan base is upset because despite that we succeed on draft night, we're not succeeding in putting a trophy up and putting a banner up. So they do got a little bit of an issue. They do need to mix it up, and I would say they need to get some vets in there from the portal, and along with some of the top 4 and 5 star players. Like you were saying earlier, they need to have a mix. When you have a healthy mix, man, it can make your program go very, very far.
Not top story of the day.
Well, my not top story of the day, it's what does the SEC do today? Yesterday was a really bad day. 4 games, only 1 win, 3 losses. What happens today when they take the court? We don't have any teams in action yet, but here before the end of the hour, 2 of the 4 SEC teams that play today will be in action. Auburn, they're a 13.5-point favorite over Yale. They should roll in that game. Coming off what they did in the SEC Conference Tournament, they should win that game and win it easily. Florida, though, on the other hand, they're the higher seed, 7 versus a 10, but the 7 seed, a 1.5-point dog this afternoon.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's right. Against the Colorado team that just came out of the first 4 games. So they just
and Colorado good. They're good.
Ago.
They got some good players.
Colorado has some really good players on their team. Later in the night, we'll see Alabama versus Charleston. Charleston comes in with a 27-7 record on a 12-game winning streak. I believe they've won 14 of their last 15 games before the tournament. So, that's going to be, I think, a tough game for Alabama, even though they are 9.5-point favorites. And then the last game of the day for the SEC, Texas A&M here in Memphis against Nebraska. That one's set to tip off around 5:50. Texas A&M a 1.5-point favorite, but I think it's going to be a tough game against a really good Nebraska squad. So yesterday, 1-3 out of 4 games. Today, what can the SEC do?
Man, I completely agree with you on that point, Brian. What can the SEC do? But my not top story is Gonzaga. They look dominant like everybody expected them to. And if you have Gonzaga going deep on your bracket, you should be very satisfied, especially how they came out in this first round. So they did what I thought they were going to do, and teams like North Carolina, they did what I thought they were going to do. A lot of top-tier teams, they did what I thought they were going to do besides Kentucky. So if you have Gonzaga on your bracket, you should be very, very satisfied right now.
Yeah, you definitely should. They definitely looked good. Well, that'll do it for top and not top story of the day. Let's go ahead and get to a break. When we come back, we're talking wagering with Alan Bell.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
I wish you could see the beautiful azaleas and dogwoods in bloom. This is Sheldon Rosengarten with Mark's Bensdorf Realtors. I can't tell you how many times clients in November have told me that the flowers are truly breathtaking and the pool sparkles, but in November, it won't. But I say rush the season. Take photos in March, April when the azaleas are in full bloom, and take pictures of the pool when it's open. And maybe show some kids in the pool playing. So when you sell your home in the winter months, people don't have to use their imagination. They can see the beauty of your home as you see it. And when you're taking your pictures and thinking of selling at some point in the future, remember what people often say. When you want the job done, call Shell Dunn. You can reach me at memphisrelocate.com or 483-0546. At Shell Dunn Rosengarten, the worst golfer in town, at 483-0546 or memphisrelocate.com.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings and Grill. With 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings and Grill is family friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for their loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every $1 you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Lowe's off Highway 64 in Bartlett, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings and Grill. All 650 acquisition fee, 30,000 miles per year, 20 cents excess mileage. Forte RE72, 39.85, MSRP 22,320. Sportage R7, 24.7640, MSRP 29,635. Telluride RG 49.9963, MSRP 41,005. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Hyundai. Excludes tax on license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 4/1/2024. Dealer stock only.
Hey, it's my man Jeff Allen bringing sweet deals from Gossett Kia South Mount Moriah.
Hey, Randy, I've got a 2024 Kia Forte LXS that gets 41 mpg highway, and you can hit the road for just $219 a month.
That's awesome. What else you got?
2024 Kia Sportage LX, $289 a month. Both 36-month lease and $34.99 due at signing. Or go big in a 2024 Kia Telluride S all-wheel drive, $429 a month. 36-month lease and $39.99 due at signing.
Plus, get peace of mind with the 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah.
We're online 24/7, KiaMountMoriah.com.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is your buddy Johnny Radio. I'm here with Mark, the owner of Dyer's, out in Collierville's historic town square, where they've been cooking up them burgers since 1912, the old-fashioned way. Mark, what's going on in life? I see you got your 4 kids with you. What do they love about Dyer's?
Man, they love everything about Dyer's. They love all the great food that we serve, and they really like eating our good food and watching some of their favorite sports.
Braden, what do you like at Dyer's?
I like a bacon burger with fries, a milkshake, and with a Tigers game in the background.
Carter, who's your favorite football team?
The Carolina Panthers, and just with some macaroni with that sounds amazing.
My man Beckham, what's your favorite food over at Dyer's?
We like the double cheeseburgers.
Kinley, what is your favorite dish over at Dyer's?
Daddy's cheeseburgers and the Dallas Cowboys game in the background.
Just remember, everybody, bring your family, bring your friends, bring your team out and eat at our place.
So head on over to Dyer's in Collierville's historic town square.
Hello?
Hey, little sis. Did you get your W-2 yet?
Yes, I did.
Well, you know last year when I told you to file early to get your refund quick?
Yes, I remember.
Well, go ahead and call now, and you can get your refund fast.
Thanks. That's why I love you. Always looking out for your little sis.
To get your taxes filed quick and get your refund fast, go to Brenton Tax Service, located in Midtown Memphis on Madison Avenue. We may not be related to you, but at Brenton Tax Service, we protect you like family.
This hour of our show brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Call them at 901-334-9673. Great offers on all 2024 models and always special leasing options. Drive in luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by today at the one and only Lexus dealership in town at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2024 flagship LS500. You'll be looking and you'll be driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design. And when you get that, that makes for a luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. No Brett today. Bryant and Johnny Hill with you. Short show today, but as always on a Friday, we've got Alan Bell with us. Go give him a follow at AB3 and also Driving the Line on YouTube. Go check out both of his pages. And as always, he joins us on our Sissy's Log Cabin listener line. Alan, thanks so much for joining us. Obviously, a lot of fun these past two games with all of the basketball that we're able to watch here in the NCAA tournament. But what I got to start off with what happened to Kentucky last night, man. What happened to John Calipari's team? They go out there. The Jack Golke lights them up, a guy that does not like to shoot two-pointers. And for another year, an early exit for John Calipari and his young Wildcat team.
It is, man. First, I appreciate you having me back. And, dude, is this not the best sports weekend of the year? It's awesome. Yeah, look, John Calipari, man, at Kentucky can be broken down into two different eras. All right, the beginning, he had World Wide West and LeBron James helping him out recruiting. Mm-hmm. And then when he didn't, all right, think about this. Calipari, in his last 5 NCAA tournament games, he's won 1.
Wow.
1. They don't make it past the first weekend, man. Like, they have problems up there. And, you know, I don't know any way that they fix it because he set himself up to where, all right, you're just going to recruit freshmen, you know, constantly. Like, that's all you're going to run with. And he ain't getting the freshmen that he used to anymore.
No, he is not. And we're starting to see kind of that shift. I know Jay Wright's comments went kind of viral last night after he said it, but we're seeing that change in kind of the way college basketball is being played where it's more of the veteran, especially when you get to March, it's the veteran teams that kind of lead the way, those guys that have been there 3, 4, even 5 years, rather than these 18-year-old freshmen that really step up when the moment's the brightest.
Oh, yeah, big time. And let me say this, too. All right, what Calipari did with the freshman thing, right, was revolutionary to start. Mm-hmm. But now, Jay Wright's exactly right, and it's changed. What it is now is you build yourself a good team, how it used to be, all right?
Yep.
And then you hit the transfer portal for, like, that one star,
yep.
right? Kansas taking Hunter Dickinson from Michigan, right? Arizona grabbing Caleb Love from
what
North
Tennessee
Carolina.
did with Dalton Connect. I mean, they go out and bring him in, a mid-major guy, but they really had kind of that team already built before they added him.
Yeah, 100%. That's an excellent point. Yeah, like that's kind of where it's going. So, yeah, I mean, you know, we'll see. And look, not that, you know, Calipari can't go do that, but you got to build yourself a good team first.
Yeah.
And he's never been able to do that at Kentucky. He did it at Memphis.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, Memphis, yeah, like he had it rolling at Memphis, man.
Yeah, sure did. Kentucky was one of 4 SEC teams that played yesterday. The only team that won from the SEC yesterday was Tennessee. They get a big win over St. Peter's. 4 more SEC teams playing today. Auburn, the first of those teams to play. They're up 4-0 right now over Yale. Do you think the SEC fares much better today than they did in day 1 yesterday?
Probably. Although we'll see, right? Like, yeah. I'm not saying the SEC doesn't have good teams. Trust me, I am not saying that at all. But I think we're going to see who, you know, the top of the list are, and then we're going to see everybody else. I think Tennessee, Auburn are up there. Florida, look, I bet on Florida, you know, minus 1.5 on the spread there. They should handle their business today. But, yeah, like, we're starting to see, like, teams, you know, Mississippi State didn't look all that good. That's not a great Michigan State team. South Carolina, you know, that's not, you know, a terrific Oregon team, right? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it'll be better than, you know, only one winning, but not much better.
Yeah.
Alan, who have you been most impressed with since the tournament have started, man? Because we're still in the first round. Who really impressed you in the first round so far?
Yeah, that's a good question, man. All right, so, you know, well, let me say this. Look at UConn already. All right, I know that they're playing Stetson, but UConn and Dan Hurley, like, they just don't stop.
No.
Like, they just keep coming at you, man. You know, you got to say, North Carolina, that was a solid win for them. Illinois, I thought, you know, handled their business. That's a good basketball team and looked strong in the second half and took control of that game. I've got to give Gonzaga some love. That was not an easy McNeese State team that they went up against, right? Will Wade had himself a squad, and they looked good, took care of their business. Texas, yeah, I mean, you know, they're looking so far. We'll see what they do against Tennessee. Got to give love to Michigan State too, man. Tom Izzo keeps doing it. You know what I mean? But yeah, like you know, got to give love to Gonzaga. Got to give love to UConn. Like they're the favorite for a reason, man. That's a really good basketball team.
Yeah, I've been impressed with what they've done early today against Stetson. I'm curious from your standpoint when it comes to these NCAA tournament games, because I mean, you think if one of these 12 versus 15 games was being played in the middle of November or December, nobody would have their eyes, you know, peeled for, oh, there's going to be a big upset in one of these games. But because it's the NCAA tournament, we know how different it is. We know all of these trends and everything. What do you do differently when you look at these games in March Madness than you would in maybe a non-conference game in December, or even some of these conference games that you just bet on a couple days prior?
Yeah, so all right, let me say this. All right, the motivation factor, okay? It's real this time. And let me give you the perfect example. Tennessee, coming into the tournament, absolutely had a reason to blast St. Peter's. All right, you've got the Rick Barnes factor of them not, you know, just performing well in the tournament. They just got blasted in the first game of the SEC conference tournament against Mississippi State. Like, all of those factors lined up to they're going to come out and play a good basketball game, right? Yeah. So, yeah, like the motivational factor is there, right? Like, it's something to pay attention to. But number two, teams that these two things combine together. Good shooting percentage, whether that's twos or threes, a good free throw shooting percentage. Teams that hit free throws are massive this time of year, especially, like, I'm not even talking about, you know, just, you know, picking them to win, you know, in a bracket, but when you start talking about betting them, like, that's a completely different thing as well, because you got to use a number here, free throws, man, because you're going to get your opportunities, especially as a favorite toward the end, you got to hit them.
Yeah. So what do you like? We still got a bunch of games later tonight. I know Florida, Colorado just started. What do you like later tonight, or even some of these games that have already been posted for tomorrow?
Yeah, great question there, man. So, yeah, like I said, like Florida. Nebraska, I can't wait to watch it, man. That's going to be a fun game against Texas A&M. I like Nebraska in that one. Here's the question. Later tonight, Wisconsin, 95.5, like Wisconsin against James Madison. Here's the question. What do we do with Charleston and Alabama, okay? And we have a total of 172 and a half.
Holy cow.
172, and I've never seen that in the NCAA tournament. I've never seen anything closer.
That is incredible.
I know. It's like, that's the thing. Is like, Charleston can score. They're like Oakland, right?
Yeah.
Like, they could score. Alabama certainly can score, and Alabama don't play any defense. Like, I'm fascinated with that total there, man. But, yeah, Wisconsin tonight, love them, -5.
I like that. I like that a lot. Before we let you go, Alan, I've got to ask, I know college basketball certainly in the driver's seat right now, but we're to conference slate in college baseball. What do you like this weekend in college baseball?
Yeah, man, great question, dude. All right, so I like Indiana State playing at home. That is a great college baseball team. Keep an eye there. They hit the ball well. I like LSU at home against Florida. And if you just want to sit back and watch good baseball, Ole Miss and Tennessee this weekend. That is going to be a heck of a series, man. It's going to be fun. But, yeah, LSU, Indiana State, and Washington State. This team can mash at the plate, man. Those three good teams.
I'll have to keep my eye. I've watched a lot of Indiana State and LSU. I've not caught any of Washington State, so I'll have to look out for them.
Yeah, man, dude, they can hit. They can hit for sure.
It's good to know. Well, Alan, as always, thanks so much for joining us. We'll do it again next Friday, and enjoy this weekend of hoops and baseball.
Hey, you too, man. Y'all be good, man. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Alan. Alan Bell, he joins us every single Friday. Go check out his YouTube pages at AB3 and also Driving the Line. They do great work over there. I love to remind everybody, Driving the Line, it's his show every weekday morning. It's about, I don't know how long they go, about 15, 20-minute show every single morning where they are just giving out their best plays, breaking it down, and it's a lot of fun. So if you want some plays for the various sports, I know they give out, he does a lot of college baseball, college basketball, of course, NBA, that sort of thing. Go check out Driving the Line. They do great work over there. Well, we need to get to a break. When we come back, we'll talk more about all of the action going on today in the NCAA tournament. We'll do that next on Sports Time.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows, stay up to date with station events, and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
This is hard to believe, but the Hyundai Santa Fe is actually better. I know, that's crazy, isn't it? The 2024 Santa Fe is new, top to bottom, and even better than before. It's almost as big as the Palisade, so roomy, and now it's got a standard third row. Everybody's clamoring for that. And it's the best SUV when it comes to the ride than ever before. You know how with SUVs you love it because you're sitting high, but you don't get that luxury kind of ride like a sedan? You do with the 2024 Santa Fe. It's the best riding SUV ever, and it's quiet. It's the ultimate family car. All you've got to do to be sold is to test drive it. The people at Homer Skelton Hyundai are saying, come try it. You'll love it. Homer Skelton Hyundai, right at the corner of Highway 78 and Craft Road. First exit in Mississippi. Go see the ultimate SUV, the 2024 Santa Fe.
When you think about insurance and you want great value without sacrificing great service, I want you to think one place, the Eflin Insurance and the entire Eflin Insurance team. Matt and his group of professionals will access 10 leading companies to find the right home and auto program that fits your budget and your absolute needs. The Eflin Insurance team, the number 386-GER, 386-4777.
For over 8 decades, America's farmers have counted on the Little Red Tractor from Case IH, the Farmall, to help them make short work of their demanding chores. Well, Mid-South Ag can show you they aren't just for farms anymore. With horsepower ranging from 30 to 105, plus an army of attachments, they can tackle every chore on your to-do list, from hauling and mowing to loading and towing and then some. Stop by Mid-South Ag Equipment or call 662-890-3141 to find a Case IH Farmall that's right for you.
Hey, this is Eli Savoy, and I've got a question for you. Who wants to pay full retail for a pre-owned car or truck when you can buy it at wholesale? Wholesale Unlimited on Pleasant View, right off Covington Pike, has an unlimited selection of super sharp pre-owned cars and trucks you can buy at the wholesale price. And right now, you can use your tax refund as all or part of a down payment and still just pay the wholesale price. Chevy Silverados, F-150s and Ram trucks, Tahoes, Explorers, Jeep Wranglers, Grand Cherokees, Renegades, a Cadillac SRX, Camaros, Mustang convertible, Hyundais. Check it out. Go to wucars.com or Google Wholesale Unlimited Memphis. This is great. Your money goes a long way when you can buy at the wholesale price, and tax refund time makes it even better. Go to Wholesale Unlimited on Pleasant View, just off Covington Pike, with guaranteed approval. Tell them you heard about it right here on Sports 56, and you can thank me later.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Johnny with you. We've got 4 games going on right now. Clemson up 54-40 on New Mexico. That game here in Memphis. About 12 minutes left in that one. Reminder, we're going to be talking to Brett. He's live at FedEx Forum. We'll talk to him at about 4:30 and get all his thoughts on these first two games happening in Memphis. UConn still all over Stetson. About 12 minutes left in that game as well. They're up 65-37. Two games that just started recently. Auburn up 2 over Yale, 12-10. And Florida up 17-12 over Colorado in the first 5 minutes of that game. So those are the games we've got going on right now. Next game doesn't start till 5:50, about 5:50, and that will be the game here in Memphis between Texas A&M and Nebraska. Johnny, I know we talked about it a couple days ago, but it broke right before we got done with our show, and so we didn't talk about it much. We just kind of mentioned it and said, hey, this is weird. Hey, this story is out. But we didn't really talk about it. I'm sure y'all talked about it yesterday. But this whole story about Shohei Ohtani and his interpreter, this is crazy.
It's insane.
And it seems like there's a lot more to this story than what is being reported right now. I saw an interview yesterday, I guess, with one of the lead journalists, the one who's doing this story for the Los Angeles Times. And this was on the Dan Le Batard show, and they interviewed him, and they basically said, which I thought this was interesting, and maybe this is just standard protocol at newspapers. But they asked him, okay, you've got all the facts here, because I guess this guy is their lead columnist, lead sports columnist. But they tasked him with doing the actual reporting and stuff here for this story. And so they said, okay, you've done all this reporting, you've laid it out extremely well, but I want you to put your columnist hat on and tell us what you think is actually happening here.
Really?
And he said, I am not allowed to...
I've
been told by the LA Times I'm not allowed, when I'm talking about the story, I'm not allowed to
disclose it.
Tell what I think happened. I have to be strictly a reporter on this. And it just seems very strange.
That seems like there's a lot of stuff deep inside of it, man.
Well, it just seems very strange because you look at it and you've got Shohei Ohtani, the biggest player in the world right now in terms of baseball, and his interpreter, I mean, supposedly, according to this report, I'm sure he's done a great job at reporting the story for the LA Times. But he said that when they first got a hit that hey, the government is looking into a bunch of these illegal gambling operations in the state of California. And there's one that Shohei Ohtani's name is connected to. And we should probably ask the Dodgers about this. So they go and they basically ask the Dodgers. The first time they asked the Dodgers about it, the Dodgers were like, what are you talking about? We don't know anything about this. And so then they kind of started doing more reporting. Obviously, this is something that's been going on for, they've been doing a lot of reporting on this before they obviously dropped the story.
Yeah.
And they kind of go to the interpreter and they're like, hey, what's up with this? And the interpreter at first is like, well, I have a huge gambling problem. I was in this big gambling debt.
Yeah.
And Shohei Ohtani, because we're big buds, he paid
the debt off.
Gambling debts.
Yeah.
Which, great friend, if true. I mean, holy cow, that's a whole lot of money to be throwing to cover gambling debts. So he does this whole 90-minute interview with ESPN and the interpreter.
Yeah.
Basically saying, I just had this big debt and it is what it is, but Shohei Ohtani, yada yada yada. So ESPN was about to run with the story and they had it all written, basically all done, and one of the Dodgers PR people reached out to him and said, hey, hold off on that story. Shohei Ohtani's agent is going to release a statement in the morning.
Okay.
And they were like, okay. And so they released a statement that says there's been this massive theft to Shohei Ohtani's account.
Really?
And yada, yada, yada. The interpreter's been fired. All this stuff. And so I heard the woman who reported it for ESPN, I hate that I forget her name, she did an interview in Seattle that I heard yesterday, and she called Shohei's interpreter after all of this came out. and said, did you lie to me yesterday? Because they did like a 90-minute interview.
Yeah.
And he's saying all this stuff about gambling. And he was like, yeah, I lied to you yesterday. And so...
Dang.
I don't know. I just think there's a lot in this story that is going to come out. And maybe it doesn't come out. Maybe it does.
So
I don't want to say that Shohei Ohtani's got involvement to any illegal gambling operations. But I do know that there is a large chunk of money that went to an illegal gambling operation from the bank account of Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah.
And whether he was just, gambling debts and covering it up, or if his interpreter told him he had gambling debts they need to be covered up, and he gave him this money, and then the money instead went to go fund this illegal gambling operation. I don't know. I don't think anybody really knows. I think there's a lot of loose ends that need to be tied to the story, but when you had this story broke just hours after the first game of the season for the Dodgers.
Yeah.
So it's an extremely strange story for sure.
Yeah, it very is, man. And it gets you just thinking what could have happened, It gets you thinking, like, did the interpreter take the money and paid off his own debt? But then it also gets you thinking, how could he take the money from Shohei? Because he's the interpreter. He's not the agent. He don't have direct control of that. So like you said, man, there's a lot to diagnose with this. There's a lot to go into this. And this is just the way sports is right now. Gambling's a part of sports. They got sports betting in a lot of arenas, So, like, this is just the landscape of sports, and sports betting is just part of it.
Well, and I think that's a really good point. I think we're seeing sports and sports betting are so close together now. I mean, they are just almost overlapping each other. I mean, I know you go to an NBA game, you go to an NFL game, or you watch an NBA game or an NFL game on television, there's ads all over the place for these sports books and different stuff. I mean, I talked about the other day, the NBA is going to integrate betting odds onto their game. So when you're watching, you can just bet that easily. And so and LeBron James is going to be putting out NFL picks in the offseason. So, I mean, they're so hand in hand right now that, like, the idea, and we saw Calvin Ridley, a couple years ago get busted for betting, So, I mean, the idea that players aren't going to gamble is crazy with how...
Even Javonte Williams.
Yeah. So, I mean,
he got caught up.
I hate it. It is what it is, but I think this story is a very weird one, and I think we're going to get probably a lot more information about what happens with this. Again, I'm not saying Shohei did anything. It just is a very weird story surrounding him. We need to get to a break and wrap up our first hour. I mentioned it earlier, but we're out early, so our second hour will be our final hour. Ole Miss and Tennessee. Their first pitch is set for 5:30. Pregame at 5 o'clock, so we'll be out at 5 o'clock. But on the other side, we're talking more wagering with Bruce Marshall.
It's time to triple your savings with Gossett's Jeep Celebration Event and Ram Truck Month and Dodge Power Shot Days all at Gossett Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Fiat on the Pike. How about new 2023 Jeep Renegade Latitude 4x4? We Gossett $5,052 off MSRP. That's Jeep Renegade Latitude $24,988. How about new 2023 Jeep Cherokee Altitude 4x4? We Gossett $33,230. That's $8,000 off MSRP. And Gossett Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Fiat on the Pike has 2023 Jeep Gladiator Rubicon 4x4, $14,000 off MSRP. So drive past the rest and come to the best Gossett on the Pike or shop online, GossettMotorCars.net.
If you want it, we Gossett at Gossett Motor Cars.
Renegade Triple P 56029, MSRP 30,040, Altitude PD 10 3653, MSRP 41,230, Gladiator PL 570 369, MSRP 64,925, includes all rebates and incentives, PF 695 excludes tax, title, and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through end of the month with approved credit, dealer stock only.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings and Grill. With 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings and Grill is family friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for their loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every dollar you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Lowe's off Highway 64 in Bartlett, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings and Grill.
Visit Frontier Western Store today for new shirts and boots. Frontier is your top Carhartt store in the Mid-South. There's thousands of in-stock shirts and jeans. They have the classic K87 pocket tee in every color they make, including new ones just released. Available small to 4X. Want new jeans? Frontier has you covered with super tough work denim by Carhartt. And you've got to check out their selection of Ariat jeans for men, women, and children. You'll love how easy it is to find the size and style you need. Have you seen Frontier's remodeled world-famous boot showroom? It continues to expand. New styles by Ariat just arrived, plus plenty of in-stock proven classics too. Whether you need work or dress boots, trust that Frontier's the place to come. See thousands of pairs of Ariat boots and thousands more by Dan Post, Corral, Durango, Rocky, Twisted X, and others. And Frontier's pricing is lower than online and chain stores, so you know just the local shop to visit. Frontier Western Store, 5880 Goodman Road in Olive Branch, and on the web at frontierwesternstore.com. Locally owned and operated since 1967.
It's time to discover your new Kia at Gossett Kia on the Pike. And there's never been a better time to drive off in your new Kia. Make it happen today in a 2024 Kia Forte LXS. 41 MPG, $219 a month. How about sporty 2024 Kia Sportage LX? We Gossett $289 a month. Both $34.99 to its signing. And get rugged in 2024 Kia Telluride LX. $429 a month. $39.99 to its signing, all 36-month lease. So call Bobby J to put you in a new Kia today. That's Gossett Kia, 1900 Covington Pike, or online anytime at KiaCovingtonPike.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
All 650 acquisition fee, 30,000 miles per year, 20 cents excess mileage. Forte RE72, $39.85, MSRP $22,320. Sportage R7, $24,7640, MSRP $29,635. Telluride RG $49,9963, MSRP $41,005. Includes all rebates and incentives. Best finance through Hyundai. Excludes tax on license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 4/1/2024. Dealer stock only.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. It's still running slow going outbound on Bill Morris Parkway 385 there around Riverdale where we had that earlier crash. Again, that's extra slow out through there as you head towards Collierville. Here in the Midtown area, we've been watching them upright. This truck that flipped, and it still has traffic blocked over here on Jackson Avenue over I-40 as they clean up whatever it was carrying. Again, this is going to remain closed for a while over here on Jackson and Midtown, trying to avoid this area as it builds down. 240 southbound now. That's pretty slow at times passing South Parkway. 24/7 reliable crane and rigging services here in Memphis. It's Tomahawk Crane and Rigging. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Joining the guys every Friday is college football historian and Vegas legend Bruce Marshall from Vegas Insiders, CBS Sports, and his own website, bamsports.net. With over 30 years on Memphis radio, with handicapping and sports talk, here's Bruce Marshall with Bryant and Brett.
Welcome back into Sports Time as we start our second and today our final hour as we're out early for Ole Miss and Tennessee baseball. Bryant and Johnny with you. No Brett Norsworthy today. He's down at the FedEx Forum for the first day of action in the NCAA tournament of the games here in Memphis, I should say. He'll join us in our next segment at 4:30, but joining us now on the Sissy's Log Cabin phone line, Bruce Marshall from Vegas Insider, CBS Sports, and BAMSports.net. Bruce, thanks so much for joining us. I know I want to get to some of these NCAA tournament games, get some picks from you for these games, but I want to start off with some college football news that happened earlier this week. We've talked a lot over the last couple of months about Florida State and their lawsuit against the ACC, what that could mean for them, what that means for that conference. But now Clemson has also filed a lawsuit against the ACC and their exit fees. What did you make of that news earlier this week?
It's almost like Clemson seems, and I guess the ACC is in response countersued Clemson, so there are a lot of things going in court. But it's almost like Clemson might be thinking, if we all gang up on the ACC here, they're going to be running in their legal fees so much, and it may come to the point where they say, surrendering to Clemson and Florida State will actually cost us less than continuing to fight them in court. That's the thought I get. I would have thought that Clemson had Florida State, if Florida State wins its case and wins its challenge in court, that should also, it would have coattails, and then anybody else that would be able to break the grant and rights too. So I would have thought that Clemson could have just waited for Florida State to do the dirty work the way a lot of the states did with New Jersey trying to change the sports gaming laws 6-7 years ago and repealing PASPA. They didn't. They just became secondary, defendants was after New Jersey or plaintiffs. But that's how I see it. The Clemson is just. I think they're just hoping the ACC surrenders, and I don't know where this is going because at the moment there's no landing spot, but I think Clemson, Florida State, and some of them think at some point this is going to expand a little bit more, and they just want to be a part of it, and they think the SEC wants them. And something's got to change though with the dividing up the pie with the SEC. How much more value is Clemson and Florida State going to bring? I don't know. North Carolina is talking more. In Virginia, they're thinking the Big Ten might want to expand. It's just not good all the way around. But that's my original thought was Clemson is just trying to force the ACC to, end up saying we don't want to fight this in court anymore with anybody because we're spending too much on legal fees.
Do you think we see more teams? I remember, 6 months ago, kind of during the football season, where you had, Florida State was really kind of the head of the table, but there was 7 teams from the ACC that all kind of made it known that they were not happy with the conference, and if there was an opportunity to leave, they would leave. Do you think we see more teams go this route, or kind of like you were saying, kind of wait till Florida State, something happens there, and then try to kind of jump in after that?
Well, yeah, I don't think you'd have to. Because if Florida State wins its appeal, it wins its challenge there. It would apply to everybody then. Then the grant and rights is not enforceable. And some of these schools might have a case. They're saying this is unreasonable. They've stretched this out. The ACC's deal goes to 2036. The problem is that Clemson and Florida State and all them were party to this at the start, so they could have objected vehemently a few years ago when they actually are putting this deal together. But in a shorter term, though, should the ACC lose the ability to keep these teams in the fold through the life of the current media deal, and these schools not want to fork over the $50-60 million or whatever it would cost for them to get out of it, then the whole league risks splintering much sooner. One other related note: I'm watching this keenly as far as Cal and Stanford are concerned too, because a lot of people out here think this is going to be a very short-term adventure for Cal and Stanford in the ACC. And especially if Florida State wins this thing, if it's not working for Cal and Stanford, they may well come back into something of a reconstituted Pac-12 in a couple of years.
Oh wow!
And if the grant and rights has holes in it, and you can't stick to it, and you can't prevent schools from leaving, and that would be what Cal and Stanford might be thinking about doing. So it's all very, it's bad here, and I feel kind of bad for the ACC though, because at some point this is going to splinter, and even if they have to wait till 2036, which I can't see happening, but if they did, the Clemsons and the Florida States are not going to want to renew, certainly on those terms. But it's all kind of a mess in the ACC. I'm just not sure where they can make this all better, except punitively trying to force these teams to stay. But eventually they're all going to leave.
Yeah, it definitely feels like that. Last college football thing I want to get to, and then I want to get to a lot of the college basketball going on. But the SEC announced earlier this week that they're going to stick with the 8-game conference format for 2025. I know Brett has talked about it a lot. He thinks they should be at 9 games. He would really love to see them at 10 games in terms of conference play. Do you think we see that move to 9 games soon, or do you think the SEC kind of likes being at 8 games right now?
Well, ESPN has wanted them to move to 9 for a long time, and the SEC is resisting, and this ties in with the overall record and getting bowl eligible, and we got the playoff thing now too, and it stinks really. If all the SEC schools seem to schedule at least one. FCS, the next level down member. If you look back long ago, 70s or so, it was rare that any SEC school or any a major school then would schedule a lower tier school like that, and that's just a way for the coaches and the schools to pad another win. It's not what TV wants, so I'm very disappointed the SEC is doing that. The Big Ten they've had a 9-game schedule. So is the Pac-12. So is the Big 12 in recent years. So there's no reason the SEC has to do this. It's a very timid on the part of the schools to do that in the conference. But I know that ESPN is not happy with it. But I guess right now there's only so much they can do, and if the SEC wants to do it that way, then that's what we'll do for a while. I just hope they have at least 2 crossover games, and I'm not sure how the schedule is going to work, but there's a couple. Many of these rivalry schools have 2 of them. I mean, Auburn's not going to be the same if it's not playing Georgia and Alabama. And they're not going to get rid of the Alabama thing, and I hate to see them get rid of Georgia. And that's a lot of schools around the conference have at least 2 of these, and so I hope they keep 2 like that and then rotate the rest.
Yeah, I'm with you. We're talking to Bruce Marshall. He joins us every single Friday afternoon from Vegas Insider, CBS Sports, and BAMSports.net. Well, it was really fun day 1 of the NCAA tournament yesterday. We've got a handful of games going on right now in the NCAA tournament. But going back to yesterday, what teams really impressed you yesterday and kind of showed that they could make a deep run over the next couple weeks?
2 11 seeds, NC State and Oregon. NC State, we talked about them last week. I think this is all to play for here with the Wolfpack. It's a different situation now. They're hot. They don't have to shoot a lot of threes to win. They took 13 yesterday. Texas Tech took 31. So higher percentage shots. That's because of Burns giving them presence on the blocks. They are favored against Oakland tomorrow. They are favored to get to the Sweet 16, and they may get Marquette there, or the winner of this Florida-Colorado game. So it's all to play for. NC State is still very much alive, and so is Oregon, which has just caught fire in the last week, but it's a different Oregon team than it was earlier, and I'm not sure what happened here, but all of a sudden they're playing the way people thought they could. Cuisinart had that 40-point game against his old school yesterday. The big kid Dante is 19 for 21 from the floor the last 2 games. They have size, they have scoring, and they were just sort of playing under capacity until the last week here, and all of a sudden they're hot. Interesting, Creighton, that's Dane Altman's old employer. That's an interesting angle for tomorrow. But Oregon and NC State, to me, look like 2 teams that have got some more run left in them. And in Oregon's case, a potential upset tomorrow against Creighton. I would keep an eye on that.
Ooh, I like that. Both those teams really, really impressive. Yesterday, I know the team a lot of people have been talking about, I guess the head coach a lot of people have been talking about has been John Calipari and that Kentucky Wildcats team. Last night, they fall to Oakland. Jack Golke's been getting a lot of talk today with his performance. He shoots 50% from 3, only taking 3-pointers in that game last night. When you look at this Kentucky team, I mean, the postseason success has just not been there in recent years. John Calipari went with a very young team this year, brought in a lot of freshmen that he kind of relied a ton on, and it didn't really work out in March this year. What do you think about John Calipari kind of going into this offseason and then next year at Kentucky?
Well, if he's there, I know there's some people upset up there. Now, I think they're thinking, who do we get that might be better than him? And if there was a clear answer, that Calipari would be in more trouble. He's got about a $33 million buyout. Not cheap, but we just saw Texas A&M cough up about 2.5 times that to move out Jimbo. So if Kentucky wants to, they could do it. I just don't know if they have a replacement in mind and who it would be that would give them a better chance than Calipari does. But having said that, I mean, this is a pretty long drought, and losing his last 2 tournaments in the first round to deep long shots, St. Peter's 2 years ago and Oakland yesterday. This is the most trouble he's been in at Kentucky in 15 years. So I don't think it's impossible they make a change. I think it's remote because, like I said, who's going to come in there? He's got another recruiting class lined up. But he can't do this too much longer. I mean, if he sticks around and it happens again next year, I think that'd be it. And they want to win there. And as much as glitzy as Calipari has been, he really hasn't done it in several years. So they're getting impatient in Lexington, and we'll just see what happens next.
Gonzaga last night, they cruised to victory over McNeese. I know McNeese was kind of one of the favorites to be that 12 over 5 upset pick. When you look at this Gonzaga team, I think earlier in the season, a lot of people were saying, yeah, this is a different Mark Few team. This isn't going to be as good of the Gonzaga teams we've seen in recent years. They kind of turned a corner in February. They went to Lexington, beat that Kentucky team that we were just talking about, and then played really well in their conference. They end up losing in the conference championship game, but now they've beaten McNeese. Now they got to turn around and face a Kansas team that is a little bit limited with injuries. What do you think about Mark Few's team?
Well, one thing, they are favored by 4 points tomorrow against Kansas, so the oddsmakers think they're going to win. I think they're very dangerous. They turned the corner about midway through the season, and this figured to be an adjustment phase. He had several portal ads who had to come in here. Drew Timme was like the center point of this team the last couple of years. He moved on. The offense effectively sort of ran through him. So they had to make some adjustments. He found the proper guys in the portal, Ike down low from Wyoming, and Nemhard out at the top at the point from Creighton, and Venters from Eastern Washington out on the wing. But Venters got hurt in preseason practice, so they missed that spot shooter from outside, and the depth was hurt. This was not a deep roster to begin with, and it really got impacted more by Venters being out. But they eventually sort of figured some things out. Ike, a different skill set sort of than Timme, but they sort of were able to highlight that as the season went along. Also, when they put the big 6'10" kid, Ben Gregg, into the starting lineup, and Gregg's ability to step out to the perimeter sort of loosened up the floor. And then Hickman got hot, started hitting threes. They were not hitting threes too well until February. And the offense all of a sudden is clicking. And I think having Gregg in there really has helped. And they've sort of learned how to play a different way. And they are very dangerous right now. I expect them to beat Kansas. In fact, I could see Gonzaga running this thing. They'd get a rematch against probably if Purdue lasts that long, which we have to wonder about after the last couple of years. That'd be a rematch of the first round of Maui or Honolulu this year in the Sweet 16. A game Gonzaga led at halftime before faltering in the second half. I know they would love a rematch at Purdue.
Oh, yeah.
I would not. How about this long shot pick? Gonzaga to play Oregon in the final of the Midwest.
Holy cow.
That would be quite a long shot, but I don't think it's impossible.
That'd be fun.
Bruce, who are you most looking forward to watching today? Who are you most looking forward to watching today?
Johnny, Texas A&M, Nebraska. I think it's going to be the best game in the first round, and I think the total is too low. It's about 147.5. Look at what Texas A&M has done its last couple weeks here since Buzz made the switch in the line. He put Manny Obaseki in. His best year, he's a sixth man, about 15 minutes or so per game. But he decided to put him in the starting lineup. He's our best three-point shooter. We are having trouble shooting threes, so he decided he could sacrifice a little bit of defense and rebounding for 15 to 18 minutes a game and put more offense in them. And that spread the floor out a little bit more. Now you see Wade Taylor. That means they sort of teams have to guard the perimeter more now with Obaseki there, but it's opened up the floor for Taylor a bit more. Look at the points that Texas A&M's been scoring here the last few weeks. It's different than the Buzz teams we're used to seeing, but they've got something going offensively. And Nebraska is much better under Fred Hoiberg this season. They are also scoring a lot of points, going over a lot. I think this game is really going to be back and forth and exciting. total is too low, 147.5. That's the one I really want to watch later tonight.
Yeah, a game taking place here in Memphis as well, so
Yes.
even more of a reason for us to tune into that one. What other games do you like tonight?
Well, it's an interesting evening here. I'm looking at the James Madison, Wisconsin game. A lot of people are liking Madison here, and the coach, Mark Byington, I mean, his stock is never going to be higher. I mean, they're talking about it, maybe West Virginia. I mean, he's mentioned Louisville. I mean, he could have some places to go. This team did win 31 this year, did beat Michigan State back in November, but a lot of teams beat Michigan State this year. And I think Wisconsin's a bit overlooked. I saw this team turn it around the last couple of weeks when it looked like they had some real depth issues and guard wasn't getting any help from the bench, but they sort of figured things out. And A.J. Storr, I think, one of the 5 best players in the country, 6'7" wing. He just creates all sort of matchup problems. And Wisconsin's playing a little bit faster tempo. Well, I mean, they've kind of sped things up a bit, and they're doing fine with it. I think Wisconsin gets James Madison tonight. Stylistically, the one I'm really curious about is this Grand Canyon St. Mary's game, because St. Mary's is really tough, physical team, and Grand Canyon's got some big guys too, and they beat San Diego State this season, so they can bang around a bit too. That's sort of the most fascinating technical matchup. I don't have a real strong feel on that. St. Mary's 5.5. I would almost think maybe under 131.5. That's a possibility there, but that one fascinates me from a technical and fundamental point of view. That's a late one tonight out in Spokane.
I know, obviously, a lot of talk yesterday, today, even into the weekend about these college basketball games, but a lot of NBA games tonight on the slate as well. Do you like anything in the NBA tonight?
Yeah, I do, Brian. A lot of these games have been going under. They've been adjusting the totals down a bit, and I think because the NBA is not calling as many fouls since the All-Star break, and a lot of preponderance of under results lately. So what you got along those lines tonight that I would look at would include the game with Miami tonight against New Orleans, New Orleans will not have Brandon Ingram tonight. So that's something we want to look at. But a total there about 210, that might be a little bit too high there. Pacers and Warriors of about 240. I think that might be a bit high. Lakers and Sixers about 224. I think that might be too high. The Celtics are laying a lot of points, but if they show up, they can handle Detroit. And even without Ingram, I think the Pelicans are kind of interesting as a dog off a very poor effort at Orlando last night, but they've been playing very well. In Miami, recently at home, they have not been doing it. I mean, they're a better role for them, obviously, is as an underdog, as a favorite. They have left a lot to be desired. And I like the Pelicans' awful loss, even without Ingram. They played without him before this year. I think the Pelicans might be worth a look.
I like it. I like some really good games tonight. Bruce, before we let you go, tell us where we can find more of you.
Yeah, Brian, thanks. Check me out at VegasInsider.com. I got a lot of picks up there, some NC2A picks for tonight, more this weekend. We got some NIT we'll slip in there as well. And the other tournaments tipping off down in Daytona Beach this weekend, too, so we'll be watching that at the CBI. VegasInsider.com picks there. Also check me out, CBS Sportsline, sportsline.com, and once in a while up there at CBS Sports HQ.
Bruce, as always, thanks so much for joining us. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll talk to you again next Friday.
Okay, Brian, thank you.
Thanks, Bruce. Bruce Marshall, he joins us every single Friday from Vegas Insider, CBS Sports, and BAMSports.net, always giving us some good picks. And tonight, I mean, got your pick of college basketball games or NBA games, a really good slate tonight. That, this is kind of the couple of days where not a lot of talk around the NBA because everyone is so focused on these college basketball games, especially these first couple of rounds when you've got so many games going on. Before we get to a break, a little update on some of the games that are going on right now in college basketball. We've almost got a final here in Memphis, Clemson, all over New Mexico, 77-55, about 30 seconds left to play in that game here in Memphis. Brett Norsworthy is going to join us here in about 5 or 6 minutes to talk about what he has seen in those first two games today. UConn all over Stetson, 91-52. A really impressive first-round performance by UConn, even though they're going up against that number 16 seed. I believe that game just went final, yet UConn 91-52 final score over Stetson. Auburn up 36-32 on Yale, and then Colorado and Florida all knotted up right now, 41-41. So some really good games going on right now in college basketball. A lot more coming up later in the day. Some really fun ones, including some SEC games, Texas A&M and Nebraska. Tip-off about 5:50 on TNT. You've got Charleston, Alabama at 6:30 on True TV. Also, Texas A&M, I mentioned that one already. And then the two ones going on right now with SEC teams. Longwood, Houston, also a game going on here in Memphis that will take place later today. So a lot of really fun games, a lot of really good action going on. Well, before we get to a break, the weekend, it is basically here, and I've got to tell you about our friends over at 117 Prime. Head over to 117 Prime this weekend, located at 117 Union Avenue, open 4 p.m. daily. 117 Prime offers perfect steaks cooked to your liking over hickory wood for the best flavor in town. In the meat, it's regionally sourced for the best taste, so you don't have to worry about it traveling cross-country like some of these other restaurants. Pair your steak with a wine from their award-winning wine menu or switch it up with the wine of the month. Not a fan of beef? No problem. 117 Prime also offers outstanding seafood like oyster, shrimp, and lobster. Also, get down there right now. Enjoy their happy hour from 4 to 6, Tuesday through Saturday, for the best happy hour that downtown Memphis has to offer. To make reservations, head over to 117prime.com or give them a call, 901-433-9851. That's 901-433-9851. for 117 Prime. Well, let's get to a break, and when we come back, we'll head down to FedEx Forum, talk to Brett Norsworthy about what he saw in the first two games this morning. We'll do that next on Sports Time.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Getaway Sports Bar, the best kept secret in town, open noon to 1:30 a.m. 7 days a week. Garvin, the owner, created this SEC NFL Dream Bar over 20 years ago. You'll never miss a minute of action. 10 TVs, 5 70-inch TVs for all the big games. Rack them up on 6 pool tables. Coldest beer in town, grab you a pool stick and get you some good bar grub. 100% Angus burgers, big and moist chicken tenders. Daily happy hour Monday through Friday, 2 to 6 p.m. with long neck domestics, $2.25. Getaway Sports Bar, 4632 Winchester.
This is hard to believe, but the Hyundai Santa Fe is actually better. I know, that's crazy, isn't it? The 2024 Santa Fe is new, top to bottom, and even better than before. It's almost as big as the Palisade, so roomy, and now it's got a standard third row. Everybody's clamoring for that. And it's the best SUV when it comes to the ride than ever before. You know how with SUVs you love it because you're sitting high, but you don't get that luxury kind of ride like a sedan? You do with the 2024 Santa Fe. It's the best riding SUV ever, and it's quiet. It's the ultimate family car. All you've got to do to be sold is to test drive it. The people at Homer Skelton Hyundai are saying, come try it. You'll love it. Homer Skelton Hyundai, right at the corner of Highway 78 and Craft Road. First exit in Mississippi. Go see the ultimate SUV, the 2024 Santa Fe.
Chris Price, it's so good to see you. And you have a new business?
Yes, Dave. MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Have you noticed water stains on your ceiling? With storm season here, take a walk around your home or business and look up. Make sure there are no water stains signaling a leak prior to the heavy storms coming in. If you do see signs of water, call me. My team and I will come out, diagnose the problem, and prescribe a fix. Our team of Hague-certified inspectors are waiting to assist with any inspection or repairs you may need. We have 3 crews dedicated to repairing roofs in the Mid-South. As certified Owens Corning Corning, and Mule High dealers, we offer 20-year, no-dollar limit labor and material warranties that offer hassle-free ownership. That's our hassle-free ownership guarantee. Allow Metro Builders team of professionals to assist you in maintaining your property's integrity and value.
MetroBuildersMemphis.com.
Your local commercial roof experts. Ask about our commercial roof maintenance agreements. Protect your investment with
MetroBuildersMemphis.com.
Call me, 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717. 375-1717.
I am such a failure.
You're going to have to narrow that one down a bit.
As the spokesperson for Central Barbecue, I have failed to tell everyone about the new location in South Haven.
Technically, I'm the spokesperson for Central Barbecue.
Well, I haven't told anyone, but there's a new location in South Haven that's super convenient for the people living there. And I haven't told them that location is where all the Central Barbecue catering for North Mississippi comes from.
If we could get back to the Central Barbecue spokesperson thing, see, you have to do this because you work here.
Now, I have no clue how I'm going to face the people of South Haven. I have besmirched the name Central Barbecue spokesperson.
Besmirched.
A new era in public safety begins with you. Be the change you want to see. Join us for the Memphis Police Department Hiring Expo on Saturday, March 30th, 2024, from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at 170 North Main Street downtown. We will take applications, perform basic testing, and interview candidates on site. Salary starts at $54,611, increasing to $72,000 after 3 years. Free parking will be located at Poplar Avenue and Front Street. For more information or details, visit joinmpd.com.
Ole Miss Rebel Yell is back. The Rebel Yell Hotline Radio Show is back on WHBQ Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Every Monday night at 6, hear the latest news on your Ole Miss Rebels with Yancey Porter with 24/7 Sports, former Ole Miss defensive tackle Mike Fitzsimmons, Gordon Ford covering SEC Sports Call, and former Ole Miss baseball announcer Gary Darby. From kickoff to free throw to extra innings, your Ole Miss Sports on the Rebel Yell Hotline Show right here Monday night at 6 on Sports 56 560 AM and 98.5 FM, your Mid-South sports station.
This Sports 56 traffic report is brought to you by Luttrell Building. They keep you moving.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. We got rain moving through our area. Just give yourself plenty of extra time. It's pretty crowded now. 40 East coming across the bridge over from West Memphis. Some good news there. TDOT's telling us on Sunday morning at 8 a.m. they're going to open back up 55 on the bridge. That'll be nice and help a lot of folks over next week that comes over from West Memphis there on 55. It's pretty crowded over here now on 240 eastbound getting onto Bill Morris Parkway. Hey, Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64 is your full-service family-owned jewelry store here in Memphis. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Johnny with you, and joining us now. 2 games in the book already down at FedEx Forum. 2 left to go, and Brett Norsworthy has been there for both of these early games, and hopefully sticking around for both the later games. Brett Norsworthy joins us now. Brett, how are things downtown?
Well, we had 2 blowouts, Brian, so we got 2 more to go tonight. Hopefully, can get a good game tonight. I think we will. At least out of one of those and maybe out of both tonight. But it was all Baylor in that first game, and Baylor really showing some signs of their 2021 national championship team. They had it going every way you can. That was a mismatch on paper. Look, they were the better seed for a reason. They were a big favorite for a reason, and they got a big budget for a reason over Colgate. And every time Colgate tried to kind of scramble back and maybe get it within shouting distance, Baylor would just extend that lead, and they played everybody, and they played effectively. And Scott Drew's got his team going so well. Brian, I watched these tournaments, starting with the first week, kind of the smaller conference tournaments 2 weeks ago, and then last week, most of the power conferences. And even toward the latter stretches of February in college basketball, you see so many well-drilled, really well-taught, sharp, crisp teams and some great coaching jobs out there. And I think what Scott Drew has turned in year over year at Baylor, there were some thinking maybe the anatomy of the upset that shocked the world last night, or did it, with Oakland over Kentucky could maybe happen. I saw our friend David Cobb pregame, and he said, maybe Colgate could tap into that. But they didn't, and here's the reason. Here's the difference between Baylor and Kentucky. Baylor's got a superior college basketball head coach. Kentucky's got a showman. Kentucky had a guy last night that his pocket square looked really good, and his ads with Bob Rotella looked great. His team didn't look so good, though.
No, it did not. And our guy, Jack Golke, came to play. I mean, we've been talking about him for a couple weeks, and then he goes out and can't miss from three.
Jack Golke was making them from 6 blocks down the street from the arena. And then once again, Calipari goes out and as he likes to describe his fans, as he likes to describe his own passionate, great fans as basketball bennies, he goes out and immediately tells a whopper lie to them. Says, well, we played a team tonight that, they average 24, 25 years old. No, they do not. It's simple arithmetic. Everybody can get the Oakland media guide out and look at dates of birth and do the math, and they're not even close to averaging 24, 25. Yes, they had a couple of those guys. Kentucky's got a couple of those guys. And then Cal said his team averages 19 years of age, and they're too young, making excuses. The worst in-defeat human I've ever been around. If he doesn't stick his fans on the referees, he makes excuses for his coaching every single time. And at this point, why are we still surprised by it? But I really did. I wanted to start this conversation really praising Scott Drew and seeing what really and truly we could have had in Memphis since John Calipari left and what all could have been dodged and avoided.
Yeah, and I mean, you mentioned it. I mean, what Baylor has done under Scott Drew is extremely impressive. And we talk about how good that Big 12 is, and Baylor finishes 24-10 on the season with this win over Colgate. You mentioned their offense. You mentioned what they did in this game today against Colgate. What did you think of defensively? Do you think this team on both sides of the ball have what it takes to make a deep run in this tournament?
Brian, I do, and that's really the hallmark of a championship team and of Scott Drew teams and of his dad, Homer Drew, before at Valparaiso years ago when he shocked the tournament in 1998 with his son Bryce Drew, the brother of Scott Drew, and it was a real family affair today at FedEx Forum. Coach Rick Pitino indeed was there with his wife, and blood thicker than water, and nothing like parents, and they were agonizing over just all the missed shots for New Mexico. And I'm looking at the box score now. New Mexico for the game ended up shooting under 30% from the field, 13% from 3-point line. Not great from the free throw line. And you have that coupled with Clemson really getting it going with the point guard Girard and the post player P.J. Hall. And we saw that in Memphis in the middle of December with those two players on the day the Tigers were able to get that good win. And on that day, I left FedEx Forum thinking, it would be March fun for the Memphis Tigers, not the Clemson Tigers, as the Memphis Tigers won by one that day against a well-balanced team. Clemson, they got everybody in today. A lot of players got to play in an NCAA tournament game. That was a special moment for them. But Clemson's so very well coached, too, by Brad Brownell.
No, you're right about that. And really, really impressed with what they did today against that New Mexico team that really had it rolling last week in the Mountain West Conference tournament. Felt like they came in with a ton of momentum, but like you said, favored today. And like you said, Clemson just beat them from the opening tip. Well, now we'll see Clemson and Baylor on Sunday. What after seeing both of these teams play, what is your feel for what we'll see on Sunday in this matchup?
I think Baylor will get them, but with that point guard post player presence that Clemson has and that aggressive, jersey to jersey defense they play, I think we'll have a classic in that game Sunday. I hope so, especially after these two blowouts today. I hope we have a good one on Sunday. And Clemson with that ACC this year that I didn't think was anything special, right? And they finished third or fourth in a I think very pedestrian ACC this year. That'll be a lot of conference pride on the line. Big 12 against the ACC. Sure. In the Mountain West, they got a lot of teams in. They play great basketball, but today a 2-point favorite to get handled by 21, and really it was never close. New Mexico, the time or two, they even showed a sign of getting it to 10 or 12. It was almost Clemson. It was a little bit just had them on a string, had them on the yo-yo toying with them, and could pull the lead out.
Yeah, it was really, really impressive performance. So 2 games done at FedEx Forum, 2 more coming up. The next game, Texas A&M and Nebraska. We've talked a lot about this game really all week leading up to this one. I know you're excited to see this one. What do you expect to see in this Texas A&M Nebraska game, and how many Nebraska fans have we seen? You thought that we could see a good amount of Nebraska fans make the trip down here. Are they represented well?
They are today in the building. It was a good crowd, a little modest for late Friday afternoon. I know exactly what the scan count was. It was around 70, 800. I always get the scan count. And there's just absolutely no reason for anybody to fudge about it, whether it's a Tiger game or it's a Janet Jackson concert. Right. There's just absolutely no motivation to lie to yourself about the crowd. But anyway, nevertheless, Big Red's very well represented. And you think about what they've been through in the football world. Something has happened to them over the last 20 years. Conference realignment played into it. And they just haven't had those big, fun, bold trips to go to. Right. So finally they get men's basketball to Memphis, and they've rolled out pretty good. They're doing the turnaround of FedEx Forum right now as we speak, for a 5:50 tip. I don't think the building opens again until 5 o'clock, maybe 5:10 even, and you already have real long lines of red-clad Nebraska Cornhuskers ready to get in the building. And this is one that these teams have played, in the old Big 12, and now Nebraska in the Big 10, and Texas A&M, part of the SEC, and SEC representatives are here. And I can tell you, Johnny, they packed our tissue because the SEC is still whining and crying from last night. When if it hadn't been for a great Tennessee performance, quite possibly one of the more dreadful days, football bowl days, or in men's basketball tournament days in the history of the Southeastern Conference. Yesterday was the bloodbath.
It was a bloodbath, man. And that's, Brett, you're right. This is what I get for being a homer, man. I was the SEC homer, not you,
Johnny
man.
was waving that SEC flag around yesterday, Bryant, and chanting while we were worried about you convalescing and eating that 15-hour bug. And Johnny was chanting SEC, and I wasn't. I was on the right side of every one of those games yesterday. Well, I wasn't on the right side of Kentucky, but it did not surprise me. I had Oakland, I had Kentucky into the Elite Eight. Let me clarify that. I had Kentucky going to the Elite Eight. But if my bracket has to have a bunch of red X's on it, I'll sacrifice it for the good of humankind with John Calipari losing.
That's great. Well, yeah, you mentioned it. I mean, 4 SEC games last night, 3 of them losers, only 1 winner. Right now, we've got 2 SEC teams in action. Auburn up 41-34 over Yale. Florida tied at the half with Colorado. A&M and Nebraska, you'll see that here in about an hour or so. And then Alabama and Charleston later tonight. Does the SEC turn things around in day 2 of action?
Yeah, there's some sketchy games out there tonight. I keep waiting for Auburn to pull away. It was a wild start with some of their players, out early in that game. And Alabama should be on upset alert against Charleston. And we got I think a pick 'em in this game here tonight. Well, it's 1.5. Texas A&M tonight 1.5. But Kentucky being out, and it was so much last night about John Calipari postgame. First of all, his interview with CBS with Evan Washburn, who usually is on CBS NFL coverage. And at the end of the interview, Evan Washburn says, "Thanks, Coach. You didn't make it anything about yourself. You made it about your team." I'm going, what are you kidding? Did you just listen to him? He always makes it about himself. And for somebody that was saying, look out for us in March, and he played 2 tournament games in the month of March and lost 1 in the SEC tournament and 1 in the NCAA tournament. And then he said, now don't judge us by March.
That's right. Yeah, it was really a poor performance on court and after the game by Calipari and his team. The last game you'll see, Brett, down at FedEx Forum, Longwood and Houston. Obviously, big spread for the number 1 seed, but Houston back in FedEx Forum. They're certainly familiar. Kelvin Sampson certainly familiar with this arena, with all of those matchups against Memphis. Do you expect Houston to roll tonight and maybe show you something similar to what you saw from Baylor, that they could go deep in this tournament?
I think so, but Houston's trying to get everything right after only scoring 41 in their Big 12 exit last week after a great regular season and a start to the conference tournament before that ugly exit game. But for Jamal Shedd, no stranger is he to FedEx Forum tonight. As you're looking at the court with the camera angle to his left, that's the bucket that he hit the dagger shot last year on the last regular season game of the year, their last regular season game as a member of the AAC. So no stranger to Memphis are Houston Cougars and Kelvin Sampson. And he has looked at practices and in every answer this week, like he's really got that eye of a tiger. He's determined, and he was asked, and I don't see why it was germane, but whatever. I guess people can ask whatever they want to. Someone asked him about future scheduling with the Memphis Tigers, and I mean, he answered it like somebody was talking to him in a foreign language. He said, I hadn't even thought about it. It's like he doesn't even know who we are anymore.
He forgot us quicker than they left us. But no, I would love to see Houston and Memphis schedule something. But
I don't think it's going to happen.
No, his response last night pretty much told me all I needed to know about that, at least
but who
in the
knows?
near future.
They could be conference mates again
Sure.
someday. I know the commissioner of the Big 12, Brett Yormark, is here.
Yeah.
All the ADs of the represented schools are here. And we know it's always a lot of moving parts in conference realignment. And when you least expect something, it might happen.
Yeah.
And sadly, if the Pac-12 hadn't have done to itself what it did last summer, I think the Memphis Tigers last summer would have gotten in the Pac-12. But it didn't, and now we wait. But we know it's always spinning around.
Yeah,
it's like the portal; it never shuts.
That's right; it never stops moving. Something's always going down. Well, Brett, thanks so much for hopping on here and talking with us. And enjoy these last 2 games today.
I will, guys. Great job. Thank y'all.
Thanks, Brett. Brett Norsworthy, the regular co-host of this show, nice enough to join us from FedEx Forum. He's getting ready to go back in there to see Texas A&M and Nebraska to start off that second session. Then we'll see the number 1 seed Houston Cougars against the Longwood Lancers later tonight. So should be a really fun evening down at FedEx Forum. Well, we need to get to a break in just a second, but look, all of these games, basketball, baseball coming up, so many games going on. So I know you might be looking for a place to go, get something to drink and watch these games. I've got the spot for you. It's Bell Tavern, located at 117 Barbaro Alley, right behind 117 Prime. Open from 4 to 11 Wednesday through Saturday and 4 to 8 on Sundays. Look, I know nobody likes a loud bar where you can't hear yourself think, much less talk, but that's the opposite of Bell Tavern. I wouldn't even call it a sports bar. It's just a great bar that you can enjoy some drinks at, enjoy some great food, and they've also got plenty of televisions, so you'll never miss a minute of action. Start your night with a gourmet burger and one of their great cocktails in the quiet, dimly lit bar that you can enjoy these games at with your friends. It's not just the burgers. Bell Tavern has the best bar food in Memphis and the coldest beer in the city. 117 Prime, just walk through their dining room and you're at the best bar in town. For more information about our friends over at Bell Tavern, give them a call, 901-249-6580. That's 901-249-6580, or go online to belltavern.com. Well, let's get to our final break of the day. When we come back, we'll wrap up today's show with Taco Bell Crunch Time.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Welcome to the Rendezvous.
This is John Vergas. When my dad started the Rendezvous in 1948, I don't think anyone could have imagined we'd still be serving shoulder, cheese plates, and our world-famous dry rub ribs 75 years later. But we are still here in the basement, in an alley in downtown Memphis. We sincerely thank you for making the Rendezvous what it is today. Charlie Vergas Rendezvous, a legendary experience for over 75 years, whether you dine in, pick up, or ship across the country.
At
Edwin Watts Golf Shops by Worldwide Golf. There's something that binds us all, the collective goal to transcend the ordinary. Introducing the all-new Ping G730 and I-530 irons. The G730 irons are Ping's longest and most forgiving irons, while the I-530s fit golfers who want more distance in a player's design and are engineered for higher launch and more. Visit us in-store at Edwin Watts Golf Shops or online at worldwidegolf.com. Get there.
Are you aware? It's patio season. Family Leisure sure is. That's why they have factory direct pricing on swimming pools, spas, and even, yes, patio furniture. Yes, sir, it's indeed patio season. So come by Family Leisure and check out all the brand new 2024 patio furniture sets. And with patio season here, you know that pool season will be here before you even know it. So buy now to get in line for your pool installation and get pre-season pricing. Plus, you could save $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, even up to $5,000 on all spas and swim spas. Family Leisure has got special pricing on all in-stock saunas, theater seating, pool tables, and even outdoor kitchens. I love it when it's patio season because of all the fantastic deals that Family Leisure makes available just for you. Family Leisure, Whitten Road at I-40, where family and fun come together.
Hey, this is Eli Savoy, and I've got a question for you. Who wants to pay full retail for a pre-owned car or truck when you can buy it at wholesale? Wholesale Unlimited on Pleasant View, right off Covington Pike, has an unlimited selection of super sharp pre-owned cars and trucks you can buy at the wholesale price. And right now, you can use your tax refund as all or part of a down payment and still just pay the wholesale price. Chevy Silverados, F-150s and Ram trucks, Tahoes, Explorers, Jeep Wranglers, Grand Cherokees, Renegades, a Cadillac SRX, Camaros, Mustang convertible, Hyundais. Check it out. Go to wucars.com or Google Wholesale Unlimited Memphis. This is great. Your money goes a long way when you can buy at the wholesale price, and tax refund time makes it even better. Go to Wholesale Unlimited on Pleasant View, just off Covington Pike, with guaranteed approval. Tell them you heard about it right here on Sports 56, and you can thank me later.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
This is pretty cool, and we're just getting started, so.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, Haskins.
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin, this baby is over.
The double steak grilled cheese burrito, so good. Double the steak with nacho cheese sauce, seasoned rice, red strips, sour cream, and the 3-cheese blend wrapped inside a warm flour tortilla, with even more 3-cheese blend grilled on the top. The double steak grilled cheese burrito, it hits the spot now at Taco Bell. And at Taco Bell, when they say they are feeding people's lives with unexpected good, they mean it. Bowl food you can't get anywhere else.
Well, Johnny, we've talked a lot of college basketball today on the show, so I'm going to switch it up for what I learned today. I learned the Orioles have decided to send down Jackson Holliday.
Okay.
Finish spring training in the minor league camp. He'll also start the season in the minors. The former number 1 overall pick in last year's draft, the 2022 draft, the son of Matt Holliday. A lot of people thought he would make the opening day roster for the Baltimore Orioles. He was hitting .311 in spring training. Looked really good, but it looks like he'll spend a little bit of time in the minors before I think they'll probably bring him up. I do not see him spending the entire year in the minors.
And, you know, like I know, Brian, a lot of times with the baseball picks, man, it do take a little time for them to develop.
Guy, I mean, 20 years old.
Yeah,
he came straight out of high school.
Yeah, so it takes a little longer, you know, despite he is the number 1 overall pick. You know, just like I know, but you watch a lot of baseball. So, you know, like it take a lot of players a lot of time to develop. And what I learned today is The SEC, please don't let me down. Okay, man. We got Auburn. They up on Yale, and I got Florida right now. They're tied with Colorado. I picked both of them to win, and hopefully they just don't let me down today, man. So we're gonna see what happens. Hey, Florida is up right now, 49-47. So hopefully I get these wins on my bracket, man.
Yeah, absolutely. The brackets very important during these games with everybody making their brackets and putting them in their bracket pools, whatever it might be. What I could have done without, it really could have been what I learned today, but more of what I could have done without, because I wish this story was getting more attention. Yes, Jack Golke is a great story. What he did last night is really cool. I mean, going 50% from three and only taking threes is a fun story. But the story I think is even cooler is that of their head coach, Greg Kampe. He's been at Oakland for a while, but in 2017, he almost lost his life. He was battling kidney stones, and
that's serious.
The kidney stones was positioned. He had to go through surgery, and even during surgery, they could not get the kidney stone removed. So they gave him some medicine. They said, we'll operate on another time, but we're going to try to, this medicine's going to hopefully dissolve it down, make it smaller so we can go in and get it out. So summer comes around. He's still in pain. Things are still hurting. But obviously summer, big time for recruiting. This was back in 2017 when high school talent was huge. You don't got the transfer portal or anything to use. So he's down at Peach Jam, and during Peach Jam, Under Armour does a tournament in Atlanta, or at least used to. So he was going to be hitting up both these tournaments, Peach Jam and the Under Armour tournament, and was just in so much pain. Said that he was super cold in the gyms he was in, but obviously, they crank up the AC in these Georgia gyms in the middle of summer. So his assistant coach basically forced him to go back home, take care of himself. He'd do the recruiting. So Greg Kampe flies back to Michigan, still extremely cold. So he decides to get into the hot tub and is in the hot tub and is still cold. So he's like, I got to go to the hospital. Goes to the hospital. They take his temperature, normal body temperature, like 97 degrees or so, whatever it is. His body temperature was 106.5. And his heart rate was up to like 145. It got so bad they had to do surgeries on him, all these operations on him. And at one point, a nurse came in and asked, was there a pastor or a preacher that they could call to get down there? Because the chances were going more and more likely that he was not going to make it, that he was going to die. He ends up surviving and had this message right after that, 2017, saying, especially men, because a lot of times, and Johnny, I'm sure you're the same way, or know people that are the same way, when they're sick, when we're not feeling well, we say, it's okay, we'll get through it. He said, go to the doctor, go get checked up, because it could be something far more serious.
Brian, that's an amazing story, man. And I do agree that should get more headline and notice. Another story, Brian, that I feel haven't been getting a lot of notice from mainstream media is Asard Thompson. You know, a lot of people don't know this, or if they do know, we haven't really been seeing it on like blustered on ESPN or Fox Sports. Asard Thompson is dealing with a blood clot and he's only 21 years old. He was drafted in the 5th round in this last year draft for the Pistons. Of course, the Pistons have been very terrible, but I do think this is something that needs to get a lot more headline, and especially how serious a blood clot is, because Chris Bosh, he ended his career off that, so that can be very serious. Yeah,
definitely scary. But where are you beaming tonight?
Man, I'm beaming to all of the SEC games, man. Auburn, Florida. And tomorrow I'm going to beam to Houston. So I'm looking forward. Even though Houston not in the SEC, but I'm going to beam to it.
No, I like that. Beam me to this Charleston, Alabama game. I find it really interesting. Charleston can light it up. Alabama can light it up. Alabama does not play a ton of defense. But, they can definitely light it up. And so I think they could maybe pull the upset. Later tonight, this Charleston team's won 12 games in a row. I think 14 of the last 15 games they've won. So they've been playing really well, but Alabama, we know, if they want to be the best offensive team in the country, they definitely have the manpower to do so. So I think that's going to be a really fun game later tonight in the NCAA tournament. Well, a lot of games going on right now. I think only 2 games going on currently. A couple that are about to go off in the next hour or so. I think still 7 or 8 games later tonight in the NCAA NCAA tournament. A good slate of NBA action. We didn't get to talk about, but the Grizzlies in action tonight against the Spurs, so that will be a lot of fun as they continue this road stretch that they're on right now with the NCAA tournament being here in Memphis. Well, that's all the time we have today. Reminder, Ole Miss baseball pregame starting here at 5 o'clock. That first pitch set for 5:30. But enjoy your weekend. We'll talk to you again tomorrow afternoon.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
So you need to sell your house? I have the solution. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill at I Buy Houses. Any house, any area, as is. It's literally as simple as that. Just pick up your phone. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill at I Buy Houses. Guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your house fast, call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's Bill at I Buy Houses.
I'm with John Burgos from the world-famous Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948.
Brett, we have catered parties all over this country and all over the world, from Singapore, Australia to Central Park in New York. But many people don't realize how much we do locally. For holiday events, office parties, tailgating, birthday parties, you can't do better than the Rendezvous. For example, you can get a cheese and sausage tray for 15 to 300 people for $3.75 a person. You can even build your own nacho bar for $10.50 per person. All you need is a minimum of 15 people. In many cases, we can arrange delivery and full-service catering. We've even made it easy to get to-go items. You could just park at our front door in the alley, put on your flashes, and we'll get you going ASAP. For all your catering items and prices, go to hogsfly.com, click on menu, and drop down to catering.
Thank you, John. The Rendezvous, Mr. Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948 and celebrating its 75th year.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
With an ice cold Coke. Cheers. The countdown is on to Ole Miss baseball. Let's go to the broadcast booth with the voice of the Rebels, David Kellum.
Welcome to Rocky Top.
Tonight, the 17th ranked Ole Miss baseball team is on the road for the first time in Southeastern Conference play and set to take on 7th ranked Tennessee here in Knoxville. The Rebels opened SEC play last weekend in Oxford and took 2 of 3 from South Carolina. The Volunteers opened on the road in Tuscaloosa and dropped 2 of 3 to the Tide. This will be the first meeting here in Big Orange Country for the Rebs since 2019, when the Vols took the series 2 out of 3 that year. Hello, I'm David Kellum along with Brad Henderson, and we've got the action coming up as Ole Miss meets Tennessee on Rocky Top. But first, stay tuned for the Ole Miss Dugout Show. That's next on the University of Mississippi Learfield Sports Network.
When you choose natural gas, chocolate chip cookies get a little tastier. Homes get a little cozier. Bank accounts tend to put on some weight. Towels get fluffier. Showers stay hotter for longer. And our blue planet gets a little greener. When it comes to choosing energy that's clean and efficient, nothing else could be more American. Atmos Energy, your natural gas company.
Are you looking for an HVAC company that cares more? Look no further than Air South Cooling and Heating. We offer 0% financing on new cooling and heating systems, power generators, plumbing services, and water heaters. You will benefit from our free consultations, 24/7 365 emergency service, and a free service call with the repair of your system backed with our satisfaction guarantee.
Call Air South Cooling and Heating today at 662-399-2839. That's 662-399-2839.
Air South Cooling and Heating. We care more.
Offers are subject to credit approval. See airsouthnow.com for complete details.
Ole Miss baseball lives here.
Swung on, hit deep to right field, toward the wall, toward the foul pole. It is gone!
On the Ole Miss Sports Network from Learfield.
Simple, smooth, and every sip as easy as the last. Tito's handmade vodka tastes just as good with tap water as it does with your favorite mixer. Back in the day, Tito distilled, hand bottled, taste tested, sent to a few friends, then taste tested again to give you the finest juice around. No frills, no flavors, no fancy labels, just the good stuff. Just Tito's. For recipes, videos, and more, visit Tito'sVodka.com.
Distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas, 40% alcohol by volume, namely 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly.
Okay, so there are some rules about what someone can and cannot say on a commercial. For one thing, you have to tell the truth, something not everyone necessarily follows to the letter. And there are a couple of phrases we're absolutely not supposed to say. For example, this is March, and this is an ad for Bell Tavern, Memphis' perfect bar. As you know, while Bell Tavern isn't a sports bar, there are always sports playing on the TVs. And in March, there is one particular basketball event that Memphians really love. But I can't say the name of it. I can say Madness, and I can say March, but I can't say, well, you get the idea. Anyway, if you want to enjoy the third month of the year craziness, Bell Tavern's the place.
Hello and welcome back to Rocky Top. David Kellerman, Brad Henderson with you here as Ole Miss is about to take on Tennessee. Rebels are taking infield on the field as we speak. We got some weather issues. I don't know. We're not from this area, but they say the mountains affect it and all this mess. All I know is the radar doesn't look real good. 67 degrees, and it's going to ease down during the course of the game to about 55 if we're able to play. But we have right now a 66% chance of rain basically coming up here in just a matter of minutes. It increases to 87%, 97%, and 91%. So I don't know. Maybe we'll be in and out of it, or maybe we'll have to end it and do something different, but that's what the weather looks like. Field's in great shape, and it's an artificial surface, so you can really play through some tough stuff as long as it doesn't get, real heavy. They did do a dirt section on the mound because that's what the Tennessee staff wanted. It's 390 to center, 385 to left center, 320 down the left field line, 365 down the right field line, 320 or down the left field line. So the 320s are consistent. A little bit further in left center than it is in right center. Last night at BP, the team hit a ton of home runs, so it can really be a short porch. The wind has been blowing in lightly so far, Hindu, so we'll see what we're dealing with as far as rain and wind and how the ballpark plays.
Yeah, and you've got to prepare yourself to play 9 innings, right? Mentally, you got to get ready to go. But you know what the weather is calling for. So we'll see what the good Lord has in store for us tonight if we get all 9 in. But we are on pace to start at a normal time here in about 25 minutes. But yeah, it's been windy all day. We've seen it in all directions, and but it's a hitter's ballpark. You talked about the home runs that got out of here last night. And you look at Tennessee's lineup, and they've hit 55 home runs. And this is a hitter's park. It plays a lot smaller than Swayze, and they've done a nice job recruiting to this park and swung it well here. So I know our hitters were happy. They were excited to come take BP last night. It is a hitter's park, but yeah, if we can get it in, let's get it on.
The development of the park is interesting too. Even since we were here in 2019, they've done more things, and they've got a ton more coming. They're about to put in some luxury boxes. They're about to knock this press box out. Thank goodness. It's 82 steps from the field to where we sit with no elevator. And when I was Hindu's age, no big deal, but it's a pretty big deal. We have got the burn going on in the legs, don't we? Up and down we've been several times for sure. But to our left, they added more seating and turned the corner and filled the corner. They also added another deck into the left field, 2 decks. It used to be, now it's 3. So they have done some improvement here. And what they also have done is created even a better atmosphere than used to be here at Lindsey Nelson Stadium.
Yeah, it's a great home field advantage for him now. And credit Tony Vitello, right? He just turned the corner with this program, and it's been elevated to a place it's really never seen before consistently. So, they're a passionate fan base in really all 3 sports, but he has really put an emphasis on supporting baseball here in Knoxville. And, once they get it all done, and there's still more coming as far as the renovations, it's going to be a really nice ballpark. It looks a lot different. I played here in 96, and it's certainly come a long way in 28 years. But credit Tony Vitello and his success getting all this done.
Coming into tonight, Ole Miss is 16-6, 2-1 in the SEC, ranked as high as 17th in the poll. The Rebels head coach Mike Bianco's won 995 games in his career over 2 schools in his 27th year. The head coach for Tennessee, Tony Vitello, won 254 games as a head coach. All have been here at Tennessee in his 7th year. His team currently is 19-3, 1-2 in the SEC and ranked as high as 7th nationally. All time, this is the 95th meeting. Ole Miss leads at 50-44-1. It's been a tight series. The last meeting, March 27th, 2022, the Rebels lost the series on that day and got swept in Oxford, hoping to bounce back here and get after Tennessee in their home field. The last win for us came in that 19 series here, 5-4 victories. We were able to get 1 against the Vols here in Knoxville. SEC home opening series under Vitello have been fantastic too. They're 14-1 in their home openers here at this particular ballpark. The Rebels opened SEC play last weekend with a series win over number 20 South Carolina, taking 2 out of 3 from the Gamecocks. UT lost 2 of 3 at Alabama. It was a good series, Brad, for the Rebels. You hope you kind of bring that momentum into tonight.
Yeah, obviously got great pitching the first 2 days, and just dug ourselves too big a hole, and credit South Carolina on Sunday. They jumped out to a 6-0 lead, and Rebels just couldn't fight back in it and get back in that game. But anytime you win your home series, that's what you obviously trying to do. And obviously Tennessee had a tough one in Alabama. It's hard to win on the road, and they were only able to scratch out 1 win there. So, yeah, it should be a good matchup, DK. It's 2 really good baseball teams, both ranked. We'll see the left-hander Gunner tonight going for the Rebels, and obviously a right-hander in A.J. Causey for the Volunteers.
And we're going to talk about them when we come up next. Our pitching matchup is next. A look at the SEC coming up as well. Hey, it's always a good time for Big Fly. Nicholas Air sponsors Home Runs, the exclusive aviation partner of the Ole Miss Rebels. The next time you fly, hit it out of the park with Nicholas Air. Visit nicholasair.com. Extra base hits, the doubles and the triples are brought to you by NE Spark, the most reliable, cost-efficient, lightning-fast internet around. Whether you're streaming the Rebs or surfing the web, Spark offers both residential and business options. Visit nespark.com to learn more and register for Spark Internet Service. We'll continue with our pregame show shortly on the Ole Miss Radio Network.
What makes a team legendary? A dedication to make everything around them better. Excellence you can count on, day in and day out. The grit to give it their all until the final pitch. That's what legends are made of. Like Ford F-Series, America's best-selling trucks for 47 years straight. Check out Ford F-150, official truck of the Rebels, at your Mississippi Ford dealer. Based on 1977 through 2023 calendar year total sales.
Is Coke Zero Sugar the best Coke ever? That's a bold question, but it's got that irresistible taste to back it up. Well, one thing's for sure, when you've got an irresistible, tasty match like zero sugar and 0 calories, something sensational is bound to happen. It's too bad you can't taste with your ears, because this Coke Zero Sugar tastes amazing. It's hard to put it into words, and that's my job. You'll have to take a taste for yourself. Coke Zero Sugar, best Coke ever?
Hitting them long and touching them all.
Yes, sir, baby! That ball is out of here!
This is Ole Miss Baseball from Learfield.
Listen up, sports fans. Your next winning drive is at Landers Ford in Collierville. That's right. The iconic Landers Easy Pass always delivers more for your trade and their biggest discounts on your next winning drive. See it all now at LandersFordMemphis.com. Plus, when you own a Landers Ford, you get the support of a certified service tech who comes right to your driveway with the Landers Ford Remote Service Experience Program. They'll pick it up, drop it off, or fix it on the spot. At Landers Ford in Collierville, they have a game plan to find you the most savings possible. You can make a trade and possibly lower your payments. They'll even buy your current vehicle even if you don't buy from them. It's a tradition fans all across the Mid-South love. New Fords and quality pre-owned models are arriving every day. Beat the rush. Go see them today in Collierville or online at LandersFordMemphis.com. And now from the 1977 Ole Miss football team that beat number 1 ranked Notre Dame, ladies and gentlemen, the final play of the day comes from Landers Ford in Collierville General Manager Don Kitchens.
If it doesn't say Landers, you paid too much.
Negative equity will be applied to new car loan.
As we come back, remind you, Rebel Stolen Bases in our game are presented by Wade Incorporated, who's been serving Mississippi as your John Deere dealer since 1909 with 14 locations to choose from. Be sure to visit your nearest Wade Incorporated dealership for all of your lawn, small, and large tractor needs when it comes time to choose. Remember, nothing runs like a deer. We're going to check the pitching matchups out right now. Brad Henderson's pitching diagnosis is brought to you by St. Dominic Hospital. Know your own vital stats with the online heart risk assessment. Visit stdom.com/healthyheart to get started. And in this game, we're going to see for Tennessee junior right-hander A.J. Causey. He's from Harvest, Alabama. He's 4-0 with a 1.65 ERA, 38 strikeouts, and 4 walks for him. And for the Rebels, it'll be Gunnar Dennis, the left-hander from Pearl, Mississippi, a junior, 3-0 with a 4.56 ERA, 29 strikeouts, and 11 walks for Gunnar Dennis. A.J. Causey's career record is 13-6. This will be his 46th appearance, his 19th start in college. He has 1 complete